The Cicero Town Board meeting, Wednesday, September 13th, 2023 at 6:30 PM. If you would, please silence your cell phones and please note 2 exits in the rear of the room and 1 to my right. If you would, please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remain standing to remember those who lost their lives during 9/11. Thank you. Before we start, I'd like to send on behalf of the town board condolences to the Schrader family. And we'll start with anyone who'd like to speak on behalf of the agenda items prior to the meeting. If you would, please come on up. That being said, we'll move on to number 3. Counselor White.
Approval of abstracts. Move for the adoption of a resolution approving abstracts number 35 of 2023 dated 8/29/23, number 36 dated 9/5/23, and number 37 of 23 dated 9/13/23.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, pass.
Approval of budget modifications and transfers. Move for the adoption of a resolution to approve and accept the budget modifications and transfers as presented.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, pass. Number 5, if we can have Lieutenant Myers. And
Yeah, someone raising their hand in the back.
you want to read this first?
Someone raised their hand in the back.
I can't. Yes. Yes.
So the beginning, that first section is so people can comment before we take action on the item, and then there will be another public comment section at the end of the meeting for general topics.
Unless it's a public hearing. Then during the public hearing, then you can speak on behalf or against.
What do you want to talk about, I guess?
That
Oh,
you could do that during. You can
During
do
the
that.
public hearing.
Perfect. Thank you. And if we can have Miss Morrissey? Come on up. I'll have Counselor Carp read the next one.
Approval of hiring Gabrielle D. Morrissey as a full-time police officer effective September 17th, 2023. Whereas the Cicero Police Department is in need of a full-time police officer, and Ms. Morrissey passed a thorough background investigation and was recommended to the town board for hire by the chief of police. Now we move for the adoption of a resolution to approve the hiring of Gabrielle D. Morrissey as a full-time Cicero police officer at a starting pay rate of $50,297 per year, effective September 17th, 2023. Budget code B3120.1.
Second.
Discussion. This has been a long time coming. This position has been
Position's been open. We have been trying to fill it. And Ms. Morrissey came highly recommended and passing an extremely thorough background evaluation. The chief was pleased to recommend her to the town board, and we are pleased to have her join the Cicero Police Department as a police officer.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
We still do have to vote,
Oh.
though.
Anyone else? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, passed.
Lieutenant
Go ahead.
Myers?
Sure.
No.
Yep. Does everybody want to go down quick?
Mhm.
No?
Give her some space
Okay.
for the family. Take pictures.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Raise your right hand and try to let you read it. I state your name,
I, Gabrielle D. Morrissey,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
laws of the state
all laws of state
and local authority,
and local authority,
and established practices
and established practices
of the Town of Cicero Police Department.
of the Town of Cicero Police Department.
I will faithfully discharge
I will faithfully discharge
the duties of police officer
the duties of police officer
for the Town of Cicero Police Department
for the Town of Cicero Police Department
according to the best of my ability
according to the best of my ability
and with the highest level of integrity.
and with the highest level of integrity.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Ooh, the knees.
Everybody smile, keep looking. I got a couple.
Yes.
Okay, on to number 6. Public hearing for Paul Massey, 6341 Island Road. Tax map number 053.03-01.0. Proposed zone change from ag to industrial. At this time, I wish to waive the reading of the legal notices that were posted and advertised at the proper time. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good evening, Tim Coyer, iNews and Romans Land Surveying. Does anybody need any maps of the property?
We're all set.
Okay, this property is located on Island Road. It's roughly 3.7 acres. Right now, it's currently zoned agricultural. We were here about a month ago for the initial hearing, and then we were actually at the planning board meeting last week for the referral. We got a positive recommendation, subject to the fact that we keep it to the site plan that we have proposed, which is basically property maintenance or lawn and snow removal maintenance. They specifically want to use the rear of the proposed building for storage for their equipment, trucks, plows, lawnmowers, that kind of stuff, and the office for their office needs as far as the maintenance property. But that's basically what we're trying to do with this property.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
That's it. Thanks. This time we'll open the public hearing. 6:40 PM. At this time, would anyone like to come up and speak for or against the proposed zone change? If not, I'll move to close the public hearing at 6:40. Any board comments? If not, we'll move for the adoption of resolution that the application for Paul Massey requesting the zone change from agricultural AG to industrial IN for property located at 6341 Island Road, tax map number 053.03-01.0 is an unlisted action for the purpose of the seeker compliance. The project filed environmental impact statement, short form. The proposed action does not require a permit granting authority outside the town. Granting the application will not have a negative effect on the environment and does not require the preparation of a draft environmental impact statement of any other statement.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, passed. I move for the adoption resolution approving the application known as Paul Massey for a change in zoning district from agricultural AG to industrial IN for a property located at 6341 Island Road. Tax map number 053-03-01.0 to accommodate contractor equipment storage and business use of the property. This approval is strictly subject to the town attorney's approval of the proposed and offered restrictive covenant as to form and content, to be known as local law number 9 of 2023.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Wish to vote no or abstain, passed.
Very much. I appreciate it.
The next public hearing is the public hearing for CVE North America Incorporated, 9155 Brewerton Road, tax map number 118.-02-10.1. Proposed photo of electric array tier 3 solar energy system. At this time, I wish to waive the reading of the legal notices that were posted and advertised at the proper time.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, passed. The representative for this project, are they here? Would you like to come up and speak? Hello, go ahead.
Great to see the town board tonight. Thanks for having us. You can actually open up the site plan, the other attachment I sent. That'd be great. Thank you. Yes, perfect. So yep, I'll talk for 5 minutes. I'll try to keep it brief to the point. And then I also have a team member with me, James Stevens from Consulticon. Would like for him to share a few thoughts for 5 minutes as well, if allowed. So I'm Carson Winan, Senior Project Developer with CVE North America. We're a community solar developer. We're headquartered in New York City. We have 11 projects totaling 60 megawatts under construction in upstate New York. And I'm here to talk about our proposed community solar farm at the corner of Mud Mill Road and Brewerton Road, set back about 650 feet to 800 feet from Brewerton Road. We call it our Brewerton project. It's 5 megawatts. It impacts about 35 acres. And it has interconnection approval from National Grid. I know the town's against the project. We got a negative recommendation from the planning board, but I'd like to know why. You know, to me and my team, it feels a bit arbitrary. This is if you think about all the conditions, characteristics of the project, it's a very seriously low impact, beneficial project for the community. So the project fully complies with the zoning code. We don't need any variances or rezonings. It's located in a commercial part of town. It has near zero residential abutters, no residential abutters on the east, south, west, and only one in the northwest corner. It won't drive additional traffic to the area. It won't add kids to the school district. It won't produce any noise impacts. It won't require asphalt or impervious surface. It has near zero visual impacts. So there's only limited visual impacts for about 4 hours a day, 2 in the morning, 2 in the evening. And those visual impacts, those limited visual impacts will disappear in about 5 years once the landscaping matures and grows above the height of the panels. So you'll see the top 2 feet of the panels above the fence, which will have vinyl slats if the town prefers that. And the landscaping, which will be planted at about 6-7 feet. So the panels get in the morning and evening, get to about 9 feet high. Our landscaping and fencing will be about 7 feet high. The landscaping will grow well above 9 feet. And this is only along Mud Mill Road, that northern perimeter. So I'm not sure that's even considered a visual impact. You know, what about the billboards in the town? What about 5-acre parking lots? What about gas stations and junkyards? Do the tips of our panels for a couple hours a day have a greater visual impact than that? I'm not sure. It's located on low value land covered in wetlands. So the majority or a good portion of our 35 acres is wetlands. Solar is one of the few uses that can impact federal wetlands. And we're subdividing off all the valuable frontage along Brewerton Road. So the whole length of the property along Brewerton Road to 500 feet in will be subdivided off. It will remain vacant. It will remain with the existing owner. Open to development. Meanwhile, there's a lot of benefits to the area from this project. Over $800,000 in tax revenue over the next 25 years. We're open to executing various agreements, whether that's a pilot, a host community benefit agreement, an educational contribution agreement, to direct this money as the town prefers, or even supplement that, even give additional money. The educational contribution agreement has been really valuable in other jurisdictions that we've worked in. We can front load all the payments to the school district, and it's not counted towards their tax cap. It's super, super valuable. Energy savings. So about 800 local residents will receive a 10% discount on their monthly utility bills for the next 25 years. It's a total savings of about 2.75 million for those local National Grid customers. There's no sign-on fees. There's no termination fees. It's just a guaranteed savings month to month. And then this project will generate over 9 million kilowatt hours of clean energy every year for the next 35 years. So that's the equivalent of removing 1,400 cars from the road each year for 35 years. Or the equivalent of planting 7,600 acres of forest each year for the next 35 years. So it's my opinion that you wouldn't even know this project's there, the way it's cited. And for those reasons, we would hope that it would be approved. We appreciate your consideration and looking forward to hearing your questions and feedback. Thank you.
Thank you.
You've read the findings that the planning board made when they issued the negative recommendation, right? So I didn't see, I'm looking at them now on my phone, so I'm peering at it. I didn't see visual impact mentioned, but I did see overburden mentioned because there are 2 close by solar tier 3 solar facilities in that area, and you didn't address that. So can you address that now?
Yeah, so there's not much we can do about that. They're not immediately adjacent to this project. They're over a mile away or so to the east. James Stevens can talk a little bit more about that. But just in general, this town won't be overrun with solar. It's not possible because of how difficult it is to site these projects. I mentioned this with the planning board a bit. There's really only two key areas. Two good areas for siting solar in the town of Cicero. This is one of them in the Brewerton corridor. And the other is a bit south near that golf course, Northern Pines Golf Course. And none of those landowners want to do anything. Everything else is either wetlands, DEC wetlands, or it's the swamp, or it's previously developed with commercial or residential, or there's no utility infrastructure. So there's only select spots where the stars align to have a feasible solar project. You know, commercial solar in upstate New York's been going for 7 years now. There's, you know, dozens of developers scouring each parcel every day. There would be more applications coming if there were more viable sites.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So happy to, if there's no more questions, happy to let James speak for a minute.
The other gentleman,
Thank you.
come on up.
Good evening.
How are you?
Thanks for the opportunity here to present here. We prepared a memorandum for CVE that addressed the overburden issue. We understood that that was an issue from the planning board, and the zoning code says that in the granting of the special use permit, the town board will strive to permit the location in such a manner so that no one area or neighborhood in the town may be overburdened by that placement. And it doesn't define what that burden is. So as a part of our work, we attempted to define that and looked at 4 different categories of impact or burden. And those categories were traffic impacts, the degree to which new vehicular traffic contributes to congestion. In this instance, it doesn't create an impact because it's very rare quarterly, I think, Carson, servicing of the site by maintenance trucks. So traffic impacts compared to other uses would be very low and negligible. The visual open space impacts, Carson addressed those through his comments, and really the project itself preserves open space through the mitigation measures in the planning. It mitigates the visual impacts, and so the solar, unlike other types of development, would be keeping in the open space kind of character of that area because the site is flanked by a golf course as well as a park on the other side of the road. The land use impacts were something that we dug into quite a bit in our analysis, looking at the, is this solar system complementary to the other land uses in the area? Does it preclude development? Are there other alternative uses that might go on the site? And basically we looked at, because the zoning code also doesn't really define area or neighborhood within this context, we looked at 4 different areas. We looked at the town as a whole. We looked at the general commercial zoning district, which is the area that would be impacted by basically taking that land out of available land for new development. There's only so much general commercial zoning in the town. We also looked at the area within 3 miles of the site because that encompasses the 2 other projects that are nearby. And then we looked at the general commercial zoning within that 3-mile area. And, long story short, I don't want to take up too much time here, but the finding was that there is sufficient amount of vacant land to accommodate any potential new development that might occur over the next 25 years, which is the lifespan of the project. The historic absorption of commercial land was about 8 acres a year, taking out a couple, and that's over the past 10 or, sorry. Find my list here. So this was over the past 20 years, actually. There was about 8.8 acres in average absorption over that period of commercial land in the zoning district. And then the annual average, removing two outliers that accounted for 60 acres, was about 3.3. And so given the amount of vacant available land in the general commercial zoning district within 3 miles of the site, that amount of land would be enough land to absorb approximately 20 acres per year. And so historic absorption is nowhere near that amount of absorption. So we feel that there's a sufficient amount of vacant land in order to accommodate new development. As Carson alluded to, the most valuable property on the current lot will be subdivided. That's the frontage on Brewerton Road. That I think I'll leave it at that because Carson addressed.
Thank you very much.
Happy to answer any questions you may have.
So if I could,
Yeah, sure.
so I was at the planning board meeting.
Okay.
And statistically, you've got some great information there.
Mhm.
Overburden in this case won't fall under statistics. To me, the overburden is there's 3 of them that the same group of people are going to be involved with. And I live in that area. So there's 3 of them right there. To me, that's overburdening. Sure, there's plenty of other land, but these same people in that neighborhood are impacted by 3 solar farms if we were to pass this. That's the overburden in my book.
Well, just from seeing the other sites, they're much more forward in terms of visibility. And so this one will be much less visible. And so it's almost as if people won't know it's there. That's my sense of the plans that have been developed to date. Whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what is that kind of number of overburden? I don't know, because they could be of various sizes and the like. And so I don't know if Carson, if you have any kind of comment. No. Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you very much. This time I'd ask anyone, actually open the public hearing at 6:56. And
The woman in the back, right? I think.
if anyone would like to come up and speak on for or against this project, come on up.
How we doing? Jamie Party, 5980 Sneller Road, Brewerton, New York. I'm against the project. I've spoke before several times on these. I've done a lot of research on them. One thing that hasn't been discussed, which I'm sure being that the solar company that they are aware that the batteries are coming. We're headed in that time of year where from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock in the morning, 5 at night to 7 in the morning, we have no sunlight. They're worthless. They put no power into the grid. So 2027, after they meet their first, they're going after batteries. I'm sure they're very well aware of it. Where's their battery going to go? Their storage facility. And that's what's coming with all these, even the ones that are in the one in my backyard and the one across the street from me is going to have the same thing. We're known as Cicero Swamp for a reason, because we have a lot of water. The one up in Lyme that burned for 3 days that they sprayed water on for 3 days. Where did that water go and all the contaminants? We need to protect our town. I know what's going to get forced here eventually, but I think we need to do our due diligence and keep it out of the hazard areas.
Thank you.
That's all.
Anyone else? I believe someone wanted this. Next one, okay. Anyone else? No? One more?
Hi, Mike DeVero, 6032 Sneller Road. I'm also against the project. I just wanted to, you're probably aware that the Onondaga County Planning Board has also written a letter. And in this letter, they say the town's encouraged to conduct infrastructure and land use planning for this transitional area now and as part of its planned comprehensive plan update to set forth a well-considered strategy to maximize land for uses related to the Micron facility, manage compatible growth within identified scale of development and appropriate zoning, and to provide efficient and cost-effective infrastructure to serve new development. So the Onondaga County Planning Board has recommended that we take a wait and see attitude, wait for the comprehensive plan. The planning board, as you know, also mentioned several points, one being the overburden of the neighborhood. And another being that the planning board, I'll just read from the minutes. The planning board also recognizes that the comprehensive plan has not been completed and recommends that a project of this magnitude should not be approved prior to the completion of the comprehensive plan. So in my opinion, we have the county planning board and the town planning board both saying the same thing. To ignore those planning boards, would be a mistake. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vero. If no one else would like to speak, we will close the public hearing at 7:00 PM. And at this time, the town will take no action tonight. And date set at 9/27/23 at 6:30 PM.
Supervisor, I don't want to, but do we still have time to speak on it or no? From the board's
Yeah,
perspective?
go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, I
Sure.
appreciate that. Thank you.
I'll rescind that no action. Fine.
I apologize, Mike. I apologize for that. I just thought we always wait till after the public hearing is closed. Do we know, in the top of my head, how, I know the one solar project is, was it 45 acres, right? The one on Mud Mill, and then Nancy, or anybody else, does anybody know how big the other one is closer to McKinley? Size wise and acreage, I'm sure it's pretty big though, so. I had my open office hours in August, and I had neighbors from Sneller Road, Mud Mill, Larchmont, McKinley.
Tonight, and we will set a date at 9/27/23 at 6:30 PM. We need to vote on that? No? Okay. Right, correct. Okay, we'll move on to. Right, correct. You got it. Move on to the next one, public hearing, NYCDG Onondaga for LLC, BW Solar Holdings Incorporated, 5728 Crabtree Lane, tax map number 4048.05-37.1, proposed zone.
Complete and ready at the end of last year. We submitted it to the code officer in February and March to find out that the zoning law had changed. So at the end of last year, we were in complete compliance with all of the ordinance and requirements in terms of setbacks. We didn't need any variances at the time. So we thought we were good to go. Unbeknownst to us, the law changed. And I completely understand why the town board did it. We've seen it across New York State. Town boards are looking to put in more parameters for how they can control where and when solar comes into their town. But what I wanted to point out was a couple interesting scenarios here. So one of the things you had mentioned was overburdening of certain areas. So what you'll see up here, a few of these stars is where current projects are located. There's another project located down here. And then all the way down here is where our project is located. So there are no other projects within our vicinity. We are currently sitting on roughly 91 acres of land, of which 61 acres are not viable for development because they fall under a DEC jurisdiction. And that applies to not only solar, but also commercial and residential development. I have also worked in brick and mortar, co-locating facilities with retail space, apartment complexes, and solar. And even if a development of that nature to accommodate future growth for the Micron plant, looking at commercial space, that would also be impacted. As you guys had mentioned, you guys have a lot of water and swampland. When it falls under the DEC jurisdiction, they apply a 100-foot buffer around that DEC wetland. And in order to impact that, you have to pay a mitigation, which is a per acre cost. And you either have to create wetlands somewhere else and donate that to the state, or pay a fee for every acre you disturb. So in the location we're at, if we can go to the next slide, again, you'll see right down there, there are no other solar projects around us. We are right on the town border. It's kind of that L-shaped property. And we have a bit of a unique parcel in that it is dual zoned. So one parcel ID has two different zones. The front acreage is actually residential and the back acreage is agricultural. If you head to the next slide, please. This is the general footprint of our array. So of the 91 acres, we are actually going to be using just over 17 acres. So the total impact area is going to be less than 20 acres. Will be there's only actually 1/3 of the entire parcel is developable. Again, that applies to not only solar, commercial, residential impacts as well. And this is the footprint we found to be usable. We actually had to design the array to fit within the wetland areas as well as the town setbacks. So this design does accommodate every single setback that was in the town law, as well as going above and beyond and avoiding all of the wetlands that were deemed through the DEC portal. As you know, the town board declared itself lead agency and sent out notifications to all of those agencies that might have a comment on this project. The DEC did get back, and their comment was to not impact the wetlands and make sure that we're abiding by any endangered species that are there. To date on this project, we have done an ALTA survey, topography survey, wetland delineation, and report. We've submitted that report to the Army Corps of Engineers for jurisdictional determination. We've also done geotechnical reports to determine what type of soil we have there. And we're excited to say that it is deep enough soil that we can use pounded post. So the amount of impact we're actually going to have, the only permanent structure by definition is the concrete pad for the inverters, and then the concrete that would be used on the fencing. We would use gravel roads to access the site, and then all of the racking systems would be just pounded into the ground per ag and markets, which we did write a letter for ag NOI to get comments on that. We got those back as well as reaching out to the State Historic Preservation Society. We got comments from them too. All indications show that we can actually build this site with very minimal impact to the soils. And if for whatever reason we had to bring this site back to its original state, we could do it with very minimal impact. And the only, again, permanent structures we would be removing is the concrete pad, which is roughly 20 by 20 feet, and then the concrete used for a regular fence. Same thing you have in your backyard. Outside of that, very low impact on the ground. It allows those soils to regenerate, build back up some of the nutrition that they may have lost in the farming process, and help to use the watershed to flow water to its proper place. If you do put some type of other commercial building or residential building in that area, you're going to have non-pervious surfaces. You're going to have permanent structures in the ground that are going to impact the hydrology of this area. The reason I bring that up is because at the very first board meeting, there were several comments saying that we just don't like solar on this parcel of land. And I can understand that. You have some major growth coming into town. And reserving land for that future growth is important, right? That's your portfolio of growth that you want to save and have opportunity for. But I bring that up again for the purpose of any other commercial development or residential development is going to be building on that same exact footprint and is going to have significantly more impact in terms of the permanent structures that will impact the ground. They're going to need sewer services from the town. If it's residential, they're going to be putting additional students in the school system. As my colleague had mentioned, we would be looking to get a pilot from the county. Currently, their pilots are roughly around $5,500 per megawatt. Our project is 3.2 megawatts. So over the course of a year, you'd be looking at roughly $15,000 in change in taxes. We would be taking this out of the current ag exemption that it receives, which can be up to 80% of the value of the land. We would be required to pay that back for the last 5 years. So that would be a windfall for the community as well. And also, we don't need any services from the town. We don't need water. We don't need any road services. We're not putting additional students in the school. And the additional tax could go to support the fire department. We have also proposed a community host benefit that would go 100% to the community or to the town. And I've actually worked with many different fire chiefs and fire departments to come up with a comprehensive plan. If you do face some type of fire situation, what is the protocol? First thing you do, shut off the power. Second thing you do, let it burn in place. Now, I know the Lima project was mentioned with battery storage and water was used to quench that fire. What I can say for these projects and what some other folks have mentioned is that if battery storage are ever incorporated, that is an entirely new application that has to come through this board, and every single aspect of that additional piece to the project has to follow the same exact process. So we can't come back and slap battery storage up on this project overnight without your approval and without going through the same exact process. What I can say is currently it's financially not viable to put battery storage on this small of a project. It's 3.2 megawatts. It's meant as CDG or DG, community distributed generation or distributed generation. It's meant to stay local. It's not meant to be housed and then shipped off anywhere else. You typically see those battery storage on larger projects. The Lima project that was mentioned is 25 megawatts. It's actually 4 or 5 different 5 megawatt arrays that feed into those battery storage and collect, then get put onto larger wattage lines. What we're connecting to is a 13.5. What that is powered on is a 34.6 or 34.8. Lot larger scale, apples and oranges, you're talking totally different projects. So again, I understand the concern of batteries. I understand the worry of what goes into the watershed. We are near some protected wildlife here, and we want to make sure it stays that way. So just to address the comment from before, any battery storage proposal would have to come back to the board, would go through the same exact process. Everyone within 500 feet would get notified, and it would start the process all over again for that specific component. If we move to the next slide, again, this is the entire parcel, 91.1 acres, I believe it is. You'll see that there's a green overlay. That is the wetland area that we cannot impact. The purple is also some marshland area. So the property is actually bisected into 2 separate pieces of usable land. Off to the left there, which is the west side, and then the section that we are proposing to use up there on the north. The 3 yellow stars are going to pertain to the next few pictures that we have. The very first on the next slide is up to the north. This is what a potential entrance would look like. I know there are several neighbors here that are aware of what the current property looks like on Crabtree. Some of the things we are proposing to do is to remediate some of the area in the front, clean it up a little bit, and build this gravel road. We would like to clear out some trees, clear up some of the debris, hopefully bring the look and feel of Crabtree Road up a little bit. There is some buildup of some excess personal items of the current landowner. And so what we're hoping is that we can actually add a little bit of more aesthetic pleasing feel to the road. But this is basically what would be seen from Crabtree as you're driving by. I know view shed is a big impact. We are going to use the natural barrier of that frontage, the trees that are already there, and only clear a section for the access road. If you could go to the next picture, please. This is off to the west. As you saw in one of the previous pictures, this is over 1,000-foot setback. We are clear across the section that I had mentioned was usable and also the wetland area. We have no intention of developing or using any of this land. This would go back to the landowner for him to farm or use how he see fit. He did say to us candidly that if the project goes through, he would use the money to farm the rest of it. Totally up to him at that point. But our hope is that he does. Frankly, co-locating farming and solar is a great use. It creates a perfect visual barrier if it's corn or something that grows up. But I think it is a great use for the property. And then the next slide. Go back. You go back to the last picture for me. So this is on the east. This is the neighborhood just to the east. This is the other visual point. And what's hard to see here is we actually have the solar panels digitally imposed using GIS software. So when you zoom in on the picture, you can actually see a panel towards there in the back. We would work with the neighbors, answer any questions they have about visual buffers. If we need to put screening in, we're happy to work with them on that. Put a different array of heights and shapes so that it grows in naturally and doesn't look like a monoculture along the side. But those are the 3 points where we submitted visual impacts. If you go to the next slide, please. This is again showing that we already have the interconnection with National Grid and that we were required to downsize the project based on capacity. We had asked for a 5 megawatt site and they told us that we did not have the capacity to add that to the grid. So we actually had to shrink the project in order to get on the line, which indicates that there is no other capacity on that line unless they go and upgrade that line. I'm not saying that's never going to happen, but for National Grid to go out and upgrade a line, there has to be a significant reason. Usually it's around residential use or customer use, not commercial use unless we pay for it. Again, cost prohibitive for us to increase that line and add any capacity. It's just too expensive. Lastly here, or I think I have 2 more slides. What I wanted to share is the hosting capacity. If there is a committee that is doing a comprehensive study, I have been to many towns where I help write laws or provided comments on laws and property use. These are very helpful links that allow you to see exactly where solar might go in your town. If you're going to designate certain zones that are allowed for solar, it is very important to understand the publicly available information as to where the hosting capacity is. It'll help you understand where future development might come from and where it might be a great idea to put commercial use. So 2 great resources right there. The second one provides what's called the SIR inventory. It's shared publicly. It is all the projects that are on different circuits, different substations, and available for anyone to look at and see what is coming or potentially proposed in their town. Again, to that point, this is what the hosting capacity looks like. There are very specific lines. You guys specifically have 3 substations. Oh, if you go back real quick. You have 3 substations that anyone, technically 4 or 5. So over here is right where Micron is connecting and taking advantage of some of the large infrastructure that's there. This is just outside of town, as you can see on the town border. Here's another substation, and then you have Bartel substation, which the other projects are connecting to. You can see by the yellow stars. Our project is right here, connecting to this red line and going back to the Pine Grove substation. Next slide, please. Again, as I mentioned before, 5-year ag exemption, which is currently being claimed on the land. So it reduces the taxable value of the land. We would be paying back that to the town, county, and school district for the last 5 years. Duration of construction, we would try to use local labor and work with local unions whenever possible. After construction, we would submit an O&M plan that would try to utilize local contracts for things like gravel, fence repair, electrical maintenance, cleaning of solar panels, tree trimming and replacement, things of that nature. As we talked about earlier, increase in tax revenue from solar footprint. Current taxes on the 88 acres is roughly about $4,000. And what we're seeing from the 17.7 acres that we anticipate using is roughly 15,000 and change annually from just that footprint. The other acreage would still be taxed as it is now, and we would be responsible for that increased tax. Additionally, there is the potential to have a host community agreement. That could be somewhere in the range of $1,000 per megawatt, so an additional $3,000 per year to the town over the life of the project. And as I mentioned before, no additional burden to the town or services. We are not asking for you to invest any money in our business or project. All the money that is coming back is 100% unearmarked, unallocated money for the county, town, and school district. Happy to answer any questions. I know there's going to be public comment, but that was the presentation we gave to the board, planning board. They enjoyed it, but had the same sentiment as you, and unfortunately did not vote to approve it at that time.
Thank you. Anyone? No? Thank you very much.
Any questions I can answer, or would you like me to?
No, we gotta open a public hearing first. Yeah. Open the public hearing at 7:21 PM. Would anybody like to come speak on behalf or against this project? Or you just state your name and your address, please?
Jessica Marino, 5676 Crabtree Lane. So this is the first time I've ever done this, so I apologize. This is going to be fun. I didn't know I had to be for or against this, so I guess I'm going to say that I'm against this, primarily because based on his photos, the entrance to this is going to be off of Crabtree Lane. There are no shoulders on Crabtree Lane. People already speed up and down that road. Our kids have to walk up and down that road to get on this, to go to the school bus stop, right at the intersection of New Street and Crabtree Lane. There's also, if they changed it, I don't know if they can access from Lawton. There's no shoulder on Lawton Road either. The hills are all up and down. So are they going to, they can't expand the road. And from what I understand, they can't, that road is not made for heavy duty equipment to go up and down. So I don't think that the $20 I'm going to save a year or a month from National Grid is worth my kid's life. So I guess that's really all I got.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Wanted to say, did you confirm that there's an ad exemption on that person?
According to the landowner, he was claiming an exemption.
Okay. Let's see one. Experience that specific.
Okay, come on up.
We're new to this too. Kristen and Dominic Ruppy, and we're at 8210 Lawton Road. We do have concerns because our house looks at that field, so we're concerned about what we're going to be looking at now. The visual impacts that we're going to be having. Is there going to be something that we put up to help block the view of, those solar panels coming in? We do have a lot of wildlife back there, and I'm extremely concerned about that. The deer, the fox, the turkeys, we've got so many creatures that live in our backyard and on that field. We had a lot of questions from some other neighbors and family members here, but I think you did answer some of ours. Where can we find some of those environmental impact studies? Where are those available for us to look at as well?
Attached to John, Robert, those attached to the information they gave planning board? Yeah, we don't have them, but we can get access to them.
EAF form. Okay.
Codes office. Yeah, the codes office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Right down there. Yeah.
I'll tell them to go look for that there then. I think you did say some of this stuff here. We are a little bit concerned, obviously, about, what does go back into the water, because we are right there butted up to the water. And you,
So the one picture he had shown was from Lawton looking at the farmer's field. So we just didn't know.
That one
Right
there.
there. So our house is, the back of our house is literally right to the right.
you just can't see it in the
Where we
picture
have
there, yeah.
a second level deck that we always sit out on and stare out at the fields. We didn't know where exactly the, you know, the panels were gonna be in regards to that and the
So they
visual
were
impact.
To the left of that picture, is that where the?
So if you zoom in on the picture just to the left of the trees, you'll see it all the way back there. It is kind of difficult to see. I'm happy to
Okay.
provide my card and this information.
Bottom right, Trace.
If you'd like.
Yeah, I would love that.
So that's what we're looking at in the back. Okay.
So that part that's more up front, the more green area, that would still be agricultural area?
Yeah, and if you go to, I believe, slide like 4 or 5, you'll actually see the setback.
Yeah, we couldn't see it from back there. Yeah.
So that cleared field to the northeast up there.
Correct.
Everything would be consolidated into that clear.
So it's kind of farther back over
Yeah.
behind some of the other trees.
Okay.
I believe it's over 1,000 foot setback.
Okay. 'Cause I
Okay.
guess we thought that open field where the farmer has farmed for years. That the panels were gonna go right there.
That whole
Got
field
it.
to the left, we're not touching.
Got it.
All right,
That
that helps a lot.
That's a huge. yeah.
Let me just see if there was anything else here. I kind of agree with what these guys were saying too, is we're in central New York, there's not a lot of sun coming up soon, that is a huge concern of mine, it's like, is it really worth putting in up here where we have all the snow coming on it, and, the sun, we've got more gray than we do sunshine around here. I think that's
Yeah.
pretty much all that we had, but.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Anyone else?
Gotta state my name again. Jamie Party, 5980 Snell Road, Burton, New York. I want to clarify a couple things and actually, after the gentleman spoke, as far as with the battery aspect and stuff like that. We can all stand here and understand. I mean, the one project near me, it's been 2 years now. It has not gone active yet. So these projects takes a very long time. They cost a lot of money to do. So we talk about feasible cost of batteries, right? It's not feasible. These solar farms are not feasible unless your tax dollars and my tax dollars are paying for them, which they are right now currently. There's a bunch of money funded for them to build them. After they meet this first phase of their power grid system, they're going after it again. It's going to be funded by the government, your tax dollars and my tax dollars, which will then make these battery storage facilities feasible. So as you place these, probably the board sitting up here won't have the choice when New York State's saying to meet our goal, you have to allow this. So that's why I'm saying you need to be very careful where you put them near water runoffs. And then as far as the power aspect, how we talked about, the power lines. 40, 50 years ago, when we built homes, we only had 100 amp services. We had small lines feeding them with room for certain expansion. Cicero's grown. You start putting in air conditioning, we have brownouts now. Why do we have brownouts? Because we can't get enough power through the lines. So now we're going to all these electric cars, we're pushing for heat pumps and everything. All these lines and power systems in the grid system, from an electrical standpoint, with electrical background, you've got to increase the line size. So to his point, that's all going to increase, which will then therefore allow for expansion of that solar farm to add more panels, because that'll be able to handle more. So just keep all that in mind with the electric coming.
Thanks. Anyone else? That being said, we'll close the public hearing at 7:29. And anybody like to speak on the board? No? No, at this time, no action will be taken tonight. Date set at 9/27/23 at 6:30 PM. Thank you. I believe it's number 9. Public hearing increasing the maximum income eligibility limits relative to the partial exemption for residents age 65 and over. Move to waive the reading of the legal notices that were posted and advertised at the proper time.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So no, or abstain, that would be passed.
Before we do this, Mr. Jermaine, I think we need to at least correct the record. This is, I believe, and let me just verify this. We noticed this and moved to set this public hearing as chapter 198 of the town code. The taxation is chapter 190. So I want to make sure that this public hearing, correcting on the record now is sufficient, since it wasn't noticed properly as to what chapter we were going to be amending. It was 198 last time too, I believe, at the last meeting. So we're amending a different chapter than what we noticed. I'm just not sure as to whether correcting the record now is sufficient or we need to renotice.
Karen, is this chapter 190? No.
Well,
this is
taxation in general is chapter 190. So we're amending both this. I mean, I'm looking at 190 on E code 360. We only are, the agenda only references amending local and repealing local laws. It doesn't have the actual section, but that's fine. But, the first one, item number 9 is section 190-5. And the second one is 190-2. And again, we noticed a public hearing to amend chapter 198, when in reality it's 190. I just don't know if we need to renotice and postpone this or. Right, well, the agenda says,
On number 10 too, it's something else to look at.
number
It
10 is
mentions 198 and 190.
how was it noticed, I guess? Do you have proof of publication, Mr. Supervisor?
right here, I do not. Tracy, do we have the publication?
Was it? I just looked because I wanted to verify that I understood what the second public hearing was doing. And I went to 198 on E code 360, and 198 is vehicles and traffic, which definitely does not involve senior exemptions. So I would have said something before now if I had noticed before now.
Because we have 190, we have 190, and I have second one, 190.
Is that what was noticed? If that's the case, then I don't think it's a big deal, right?
Don't hear it.
Well,
All right, so we'll renotice it. Okay.
Do we have to re-vote on the renotice because it was wrong?
I don't think so.
So, what we'll do is we'll move the option of resolution, calling another public hearing for
Yeah.
next meeting.
Okay. All right, I got it.
motion for
All right, I move the option resolution setting a public hearing for September 27th, 2023 at
At
6:30
6:30
PM to consider amendments to chapter 190 of the town code. The purpose of this amendment will be to update the maximum exemption eligibility limits relative to partial exemptions for residents age 65 and over.
Second.
discussion. All in favor?
Aye. I'll just do another one for the next item.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because it's
number 9 and 10.
Move the action resolution, setting a public hearing for September 27th, 2023 at 6:30 PM to consider amendment to chapter 190 of the town code with regard to income calculations for senior citizen exemptions and persons with disabilities.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Push vote no or abstain. Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, we can do, then in that case, we can do that tonight.
I don't want to approve that one, so we approve the first one.
Well,
Go ahead.
no, go ahead, Miss. I'm not sure what you're asking. Well, I don't think legally we have a choice, at least as to number 9. As to number 10, I mean, I could. Well, that is actually, I have a question about that, but I mean.
Why don't
The number 10 was because of number 9.
Right.
Right. So I don't want to vote
If
on
it's a
number 10.
companion, if it's a
Right.
companion,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
10
Okay.
9 and 10 go together.
Yeah. But I think it's good though, Karen, if you can get up and explain this a little bit, because to people, it's a little, I don't know if we're allowed to tonight because it's not a public hearing, but if we could talk about what they both more in depth, because you weren't available last time, to just talk more about it, if that's okay with everybody. Yeah, yeah. Is that
I don't
okay
have
with the
any
board?
problems with it.
Cool.
Go ahead.
That's
I
fine
mean,
with
it's,
me.
look at more, yeah, go ahead. I think more information,
It's fine with me if you
is-
want to.
I mean, if
more
you have any
inf-
questions.
more information is better.
If you have any questions, the state come up with a new sliding scale. We now allow the seniors over 65. It's a low income exemption to allow seniors, widowed, whoever to stay in their homes. The state now recommends a new schedule that you can make up to 58,400. If you're at 50,000, you can get 50% off. It's a sliding scale. Every $1,000, you get 5% more off.
Yeah,
Karen,
and
what is-
and that's
what
the
is it-
table that we see here, right?
Yep,
Okay.
correct,
And this
correct.
is, and
Yep.
this is a table that the county adopted and several
Yes,
towns did.
The county adopted it. And then to make it more confusing, the governor tried to simplify the way we collect income. So they come up with Schedule K. And Schedule K allows us to just take the adjusted gross income and add the social security back in. But there's some local laws you can make, which is adding IRA distributions back into it. We can actually, the law says that we minus IRA distributions taxable, but we can make a local law to add them back in. And then they allow us a local option to minus social security out of the adjusted gross income. So there's two options the town can choose on how we do that. And then we also minus medical, which was the next thing. Which it's really hard to do. We minus medical and people bring in bags of receipts. We don't know what is, we don't know what was paid back. It's out of pocket medical, not reimbursed by the insurance companies. So it's very difficult to tell that. If you do adopt the new schedule, anybody on the exemption now, it will not harm them at all. They don't need medical anymore if you adopt the new schedule.
Okay, that's extremely
Yep.
helpful because
Yep.
it looked to me like we
Correct.
were giving a break over here and then increasing taxes over here.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't have any impact, that's fine. But I guess my question though is if there's these options as regards to number 9, and we were supposed to vote on it tonight, I don't see anything here telling me that we've got these options, like, so
Yes, on the
prior to the
schedule.
next
K.
meeting, if we could have some more information
Sure.
so we know
Sure.
what we're passing,
Yep.
it'd be really helpful.
Yep. And the county did pass the new schedule with counting IRA distributions, which we always wanted to do, but we were never allowed to do. They wanted us to count earnings on IRAs, which is very difficult, instead of just counting the IRA taxable distributions. So
and is satisfied with the low bid of $154,140 submitted by Landco Companies, Inc. Now therefore be it resolved, the town of Cicero awards the horse barn drainage improvement contract to Landco Companies, Inc. for $154,140 and approves the supervisor to sign all documents related to the project. Budget code SD 854040400.
Second.
Discussion.
I'm excited. That's,
too.
that's my comment.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, passed.
Move for the adoption of a resolution conveying support for the town's DRI grant application for the hamlet of Brewerton and to authorize the supervisor to sign a letter of support on behalf of the town board. The town of Cicero will be partnering with the town of Hastings, and the application will encompass the entire hamlet of Brewerton, the DRI boundary area. The goal is to continue with the revitalization of the hamlet of Brewerton, capitalizing on the state's generous grant opportunity.
Second.
Discussion. This is part of our public meeting last night. I'm excited to work with the supervisor in Hastings. And if we can grant between both towns, it'll be a win-win for both, which will be huge. And Kate and everyone who put forth effort to make this happen. Anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, passed.
Approve promoting senior center staff person. Move for the adoption of resolution to approve that Nancy Noble be promoted from recreation attendant to recreation leader effective September 25th, 2023, and that the pay rate be increased from $17.49 to $18.49. Budget code 71101.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, passed.
Approve hiring of new arts and crafts instructor for Parks Department. Move for the adoption of resolution to approve and hire Cheryl Teal as a recreational leader at a pay rate of $25 an hour, beginning on or about October 1st, 2023. Budget code 7020.13.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, passed.
Town board approval for milling. Move for the adoption of a resolution to approve Donegal Construction Corp. in the amount of $17,600 from account code DB 511242.
Second.
Discussion.
What's the milling? What are the millings for?
Well, no one's here from highway.
I see him.
We'll,
It's milling the roads, I think.
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh, it's.
that sounds right.
I just don't have a neighborhood down here. All in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, pass.
Town board approval for crack filling driveways. The highway department needs approval to crack fill driveways from paving this year. Move for the adoption of a resolution to approve suit coat in the amount of $15,000 from code DB 511242.
Second.
Discussion. Figured you'd say this is great with all the paving going on.
Yeah.
Oh, this is great with all the paving going on. And then since we're talking about the two, I realize it's not exactly highway, but drainage projects.
Oh.
I probably should have said it before. We have done, again, the word I'm going to use is probably not even significant. It's been a lot more than we've done in the past.
Oh, yeah.
So much appreciated to the team, to Steve and Kate, everything that they've done this year. So,
Considering the amount of rain we've gotten.
oh, that's another comment on that. So I'm glad you brought that up. During that storm, was it 3 or 4 weeks ago? And I know Supervisor Aragano and I went out to where, the Hiller Heights where we agreed for Landco this evening. And the South Bay Fire Department came out and they helped out because it was, a little bit of flooding going on there. I have friends that work in the 911 center. And at 11:30 at night, they told me, I just want to let you know, Cicero has been one of the lowest towns for calls for flooding. I was very, very, very proud of that. I was mad he told me because I go, now they're going to get calls, but we didn't. So that was really good. So our neighboring towns were, if we look at the newspaper article, they were, they had a lot of issues. So very happy that we didn't. Sorry, I totally
No, that's okay.
commandeered that. Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Wish to vote no or abstain, passed.
Town board approval for road striping. The highway department needs to stripe 2 newly paved roads, Bull Street and Orangeport Road. Move for the adoption of a resolution to approve Apex Striping, Inc. in the amount of $6,360 from budget code DB 33104.
Second.
Discussion. And the reason why this is on the agenda tonight is because they're not able to get our new striper for another 5 or 6 weeks. I think it was 9 weeks altogether. So, and we looked for options of the town of Clay to stripe our roads, but they don't own a striper. So I just want to let everybody know that we looked for other options to not spend the money that we already spent to buy a unit.
What about your walk behind? I'm just joking.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, passed.
Town board approval to purchase a 2024 Freightliner M2106 chassis equipped with a 2024 Leach 2-3 heavy-duty commercial rear. I'm misreading it, folks.
I know.
The highway department needs to order a trash truck. Move for the adoption of a resolution to approve the purchase of a 2024 Freightliner M2106 chassis equipped with a 2024 Leach 2-3 heavy-duty commercial rear loader from Joe Johnson Equipment in the amount of $244,570 from the ARPA account.
Second,
Discussion.
I just know Chris mentioned this is going to save us money in the long run since we are now doing brush. So I think this is a good move on our part.
Yeah, I guess we should put on the record. I spoke to Chris about this. He called me. And Mr. Wozniak called me, and he said that because this vehicle will not be used during the winter and will not be exposed to salt, and based on his prior experience, he expected we could get 15 years easily out of it, perhaps 20. And, you know, at the cost of spending $50,000 a year renting one of these trucks, I mean, the thing pays for itself very quickly. It's the very definition of a no-brainer. So this is a very, very worthy investment on our part.
And I'll also comment as well that when this was addressed a few years ago, before I come in the office, talking about taking the brush back, I can honestly tell you, I haven't had one complaint from any resident in this town about the brush pickup.
Nope, not a single one. First year I can remember. This is my 8th year on the town board. First year I can remember not having a single complaint. Perfect. There you go.
That's a
Don't
win.
take it from a
That's a
politician.
win.
Take it from a resident. Yes.
So
Doug.
You own jeans.
Judge, Canadian
I'm
tuxedo.
extremely happy with with everybody's the way they're working diligently to make it happen.
I will say I appreciate the highway department having the brush drop off too for citizens to be able to bring their brush over when
And eventually,
I'll wait for the pickup. I don't know if you guys all know that that's there. The metal dump where you can bring your metal is at the highway garage. Just past there, there's an area where you can bring your brush or your Lowe's or Home Depot bags.
and there's a possibility that area where we have it now will be done. We'll be moving it to the highway department. I'm not saying for sure, but it's being looked at. All in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, passed. Move for the adoption resolution to accept the emergency operation plan from the town of for the town of Cicero.
I haven't had a chance to read this thing fully yet. I just got it yesterday.
Okay, we can put it out.
Yeah,
I'm not against it. I just.
No, I'd
We
like to
can-
have a chance to review it more
Sure,
fully.
absolutely.
It is complex.
Yeah.
No problem. Okay, we'll pass on that one.
All right, Mr. Jermaine, with regard to the next one, do I have to read that table or can I just say as presented? All right. Did I miss something?
He said,
No,
Do what-
presented.
You can't, I always thought, again, Mr. Jermaine knows, but if you're named on it, can you vote on it? Never mind. If you're named on it, are you allowed to vote on it?
Because you didn't opt in.
And I'm just making sure.
Only those who opted in. Does this have to be voted on? Okay, then,
Okay,
Yeah.
but I can vote on it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Be resolved, the town of Cicero hereby establishes the following standard workdays for these titles and will report the officials to the New York State and local retirement system based on timekeeping system records or the record of activities as presented.
second,
discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, passed. Now we're on to discussion. I have one discussion item. We'll be going to an executive session. Calls for service as of 8:31 were 11,453. The police department took 481 or wrote 481 reports, took 262 domestics and 450 accidents. Total arrests for 2023 is 329. And the traffic stops were 1,106. Anybody else have any discussion?
Do you? Go ahead. Oh, Saturday, September 23rd, 9 to 10 a.m. at Williams Beach, open office hours.
I just wanted to thank Teresa and the Parks Department for all their work on the splash pad. I've driven by a couple of days from when it's opened. I can't remember the last time I saw that park full like that on both sides of the street. I saw Mike's pictures online with the kids getting water dumped on them.
Big
And
bucket dump,
everyone
yeah.
was having fun. So I think this is an outstanding addition to the community, and I can't wait to see the rest of the playground filled in, but I think it's going to completely revitalize that whole park, bring a lot more attention to it. So thank you for everything.
I mean, honestly, between that and the brush, we probably have two things that everybody can agree is great. So it's pretty good.
And next year, what we'll do is as soon as I believe this year, the other part will be completed, correct?
The playground?
Yep.
Yes, the contractor, we've started the sub-base work. The contractor plans to be back late October, early November, and it would probably take a few weeks.
So the
Yeah,
whole project will be done before the snow.
that's the.
Right.
What's the
plan.
That's the
plan?
goal.
That's
That's
the
the
plan.
goal. And next year in the spring, we will have a dedication and
Kind of like a grand opening.
Nice
Yes,
grand
we'll-
opening.
We'll plan something probably
Right.
in, June. But yeah, no, we opened it last week, and for those who are interested, I plan to just keep, it's on a timer. So literally right now it's programmed from 10 to 6. And there's no waste of water. So if there's not anyone on the pad activating it, it's not on. And if people want to come out and use it, they can. So I plan to keep it open at least through September. And yeah, we had quite a crowd on Tuesday and Wednesday before school started, but I know the initial concerns were whether we were going to have enough parking. But I can tell you, even when we were the fullest on Tuesday and Wednesday, there were only a few cars in that far overflow parking lot. I don't think we're ever going to have an issue. There were at least 60, 70 parking spots
prepared though.
open. Yeah, we were
prepared.
definitely
And I-
prepared. So, yep. And very positive feedback. I haven't heard one negative thing, and that's amazing to me because we've
It
had
is.
like hundreds of posts and hits, and everything's been positive.
And water
So,
heated.
No,
I didn't think.
no. not
It's
heated.
meant to
Great.
cool
Start
you off.
working on and getting a
Yeah, I
grant
know.
for another one.
And I want to thank the Officer Smith for coming the first day. And our VIPs, I believe, were the next 3 or 4 days for helping out with crossing. I'm going to believe in some help with traffic. So everybody's
Thank you. Big time thank you to Highway and our parks guys for, there was a lot of work that had to be done outside of the contractor, work, like the finishing touches with the sidewalk and the sod and putting in some drainage and all that. And in the middle of paving, Highway really helped us out a ton. So I can't thank them enough.
We also have to thank our assemblyman for getting us this grant.
Yep.
Assemblyman,
Definitely.
Assemblyman Sturpey.
Yep.
Okay, anybody else have any other discussion items? We'll be back to after this to vote on something. And move for the adoption resolution that the town board enter into executive session related to a public employee collective bargaining negotiations contract agreement and with our attorney, Mr. Jermaine.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
the agreement.
Discussion. All in favor?
Second.
I need a second, yeah.
Second.
You got a
Seconded by
I'm
Nancy,
sorry.
yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Wish to vote no or abstain, passed.
I move the adoption of a resolution to, can I, even though they're going to be separate contracts, Mr. Jermaine, can I do one resolution or do they have to be approved separately?
It's as amended, the amendment's going to be separate contract.
Okay. Move the adoption resolution to approve an employment offer agreement as amended between the town of Cicero and Special Patrol Officers James Hiltbrand, Dwayne Rude, and Thomas Costello. And this resolution authorizes the supervisor to execute the agreement.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, passed. That being said, would anybody from the like to have some public input tonight? No? Make a motion to close the meeting.
So moved.
What?
8:17.
8:17. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
I'll see how much I can.